What's going on YouTube? It is Aaron Martin here, your favorite YouTube Aaron with a new video. As you can see, I have a guest with me, SrA Elenes. We're going to be doing a kind of a questions and answers, mostly on the female perspective of Air Force BMT, give out some new information, things that obviously I could not answer because, well, duh. So we're going to be doing that majority today, but we're also going to be answering some one-off questions here and there, things that I feel like we need to touch on, but primarily this video is about female perspective on the Air Force in general, BMT, tech school, MEPS, whatever it may or may not be. But before we do that, we're going to actually get to know my special guest here before we progress. So firstly, why did you join the Air Force?
I joined the Air Force right out of high school because I wanted to go to college, but I didn't have any money, and I also didn't have the scores I needed to get into the schools I wanted to go to.
Fair enough. That sounds like what most people somewhat join for. And how long did you sign up for?
6 years.
6 years? Did you get a choice back then? Did they make you do 6 years?
No. Yeah, they made us do 6 years.
They made you do 6? Okay.
Because we had a longer tech school.
Yeah, so they made me do 6. So I was wondering if they still did that. Why do you want to do Air Force YouTube videos?
I want to help women who are thinking about joining, encourage them to join because I think it's a great opportunity. And I just don't think there's enough resources out there for women looking to join the military.
That's fair. I would definitely say usually it's more tailored towards men, traditionally speaking, so it's definitely not a bad thing. And I guess long term, what's your YouTube goal, if you have any in your mind yet?
I don't know, really. I haven't thought that far.
Fair enough. Okay, so introducing this side, now we're going to get into the nitty-gritty of this video. So we're going to be touching on just general topics. I know health concerns are the biggest thing when it comes to females in the military. I know that because I get a lot of questions, but I was never really able to answer them, and if I could, it was usually based on other people's videos or Google articles or whatever, which really isn't fair because it's not a direct reference. So here's a lifeline to answer these questions. So firstly, when you enlisted, what were your health concerns or any concerns you had? And then when you actually found out your answers, what was the actual answer to that question? So things like having your period in basic training, things like that, just generic things.
So I think the biggest things were like birth control and having your period during basic training. They allow you to get like sanitary products, as in tampons and pads, so you don't have to worry about that. And it honestly wasn't very different from having your cycle back home. You were able to shower daily, you were able to use the restroom when you needed to, so it wasn't a major concern. As for birth control, you could go to the clinic and get it prescribed while you were there, and obviously the military would pay for it because we have free healthcare.
Well, that's pretty good then. I imagined that they would never really push you guys to a limit where that'd be a concern because that's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, all right, and when it comes to these female standards of in the morning, because men, it's it's shower, shave, all these generic things like do your no hair at the time, but look ship shape, with uniform on, whatever. But I know females is more extensive, doing your hair, looking presentable, things like that. So usually in the mornings, how stressful was it having more to do with the same allotted time?
So it's actually funny because a lot of women would do their hair at night. So they would go to sleep with their hair already done and perfect, and then in the morning you would just apply gel or hairspray or something that you needed to and
then just touch it up?
Yeah, and touch it up.
So it's a little bit like cheating, but that's a very good idea. Because that's what we did, is kind of what we did when it came to just getting dressed. We wore like modified PT gear, so we have like just the sand tee on, the socks on already, and then just like a PT shirt. So in the morning you just switched your shirts and just got your pants on, you were good to go. And some people actually slept with their ABU pants fully on.
Oh my gosh.
Now I don't know how you did it. That thing's not comfortable. That's not comfortable at all. But some people did it because they were crazy and because some people wanted to get a little bit of extra sleep. But I don't know how anyone slept going through the madness that was the morning time. And I think this is a good one that I've always been curious on. So I've heard that usually when men and their flights start, they usually gel together fairly well in the beginning. Then the gel kind of dissolves and everyone kind of goes into their separate ways, clicks or whatever. Women, I've heard initially, it's y'all hate each other, for lack of a better term, but y'all are usually a pretty tight-knit group at the end of it. So how does that usually work?
Yeah, I don't know so much about the tight group at the end. However, there was a lot of fighting and bickering, and we all didn't get along. However, like towards the end, yes, we became more of a family, and I still keep in contact with some girls that I went to basic training with, and they're lifelong friends. So It wasn't the same environment as men, but
No.
it still was a building environment. Like, we were all still able to learn and grow. So
The biggest problem I usually had was I was in a very weird age group at the time. I wasn't straight out of high school, but I wasn't in college. I was 20 years old. So some kids in there were either straight out of high school or were just way older. So at least with the men, what I noticed right away is they obviously divulged into cliques. So you had certain groups of people, and then, you know, I don't know if it was based on just job, personality, mostly just kind of a mixture of the two. Because, you know, people that were security forces, they all stayed together. Then you had your personnel people, your special jobs, whatever it may or may not be. So everyone kind of stuck together. But yeah, you had a big problem with people who were older. Naturally, the men that were older tried to take charge because they were older. They felt that there was responsibility. And the men who were younger, a lot of them didn't want to fall in line because I'm 18, I know everything.
Yeah.
So there was the kind of a problem. You had me who just didn't give a damn and wanted to just get through it and keep my head down, which is exactly what I did. Besides being a chow runner and my life being miserable. Hate it.
you were a chow runner.
I hated it so much. It was annoying because my flight knew this aggravated me, but what they did was like every 5 minutes, and on Sundays this was terrible, they'd look at me and go, hey, when's chow? What are we eating? I'm like, I'm gonna eat you. It was terrible.
Do you think they know what chow runners are?
So the chow runner's job is essentially you are the first person to leave your flight, go down to the DFAC, report saying, hey, our flight's coming in. You march over to a TI's desk, or not desk, the table, do facing movements, the whole thing. It's really frightening the first few times. It's because you have like 5 TIs just sitting here looking at you like this. What do you want? And it's really kind of intimidating at first because they all just don't give a damn, but you know that they're gonna rip you if you mess up even a little bit.
Yeah.
So you have to report your flight. We're gonna be coming in. They're gonna say, go to this side, one of the sides. And then when your flight actually comes in, you go back saying, hey, we're here, we're eating. They're like, okay, seat them over there. And then you say, yes, sir, thank you, sir, and dip back out. And then the reason it sucks is that you're the first one in, last one to eat. But you still have the same amount of time as everybody else.
Yeah.
And it sucks. So yeah, that's the chow runner's job. Don't be a chow runner if you can help it. Don't volunteer for it. Be anything else. Be a latrine crew. It's still better.
They usually like go through a picking process though. Like you have to do something to become a chow runner.
Depends on the TI. So when I went through, they picked anyone who obviously looked like they didn't want to be it. And I wasn't the original pick. But when our guy had a medical issue and he basically got kicked out, one of our TIs was looking at the flight and she pointed at me and says, you, chow run. I'm like, damn it.
That's so unlucky.
Because I was just standing there at attention, just minding my own business. It's just, nope, you, go. I'm like, no. And the thing is that I didn't know what I was supposed to do, but I was yelled at like I was supposed to because we were a few days in, so my partner knew what he was doing, but I was just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, but they made me go report in. I'm like, what? How is that fair? I didn't get the reporting instructions or anything. And obviously my partner couldn't tell me because you can't talk to each other.
Yeah.
So I had no idea what I was supposed to be doing. It's awful. Not fair. That wasn't fair. So this is a good question I have. Now this is a genuine question. When it comes to females, are there any more specific like jobs like within the flight that you guys have to maintain? Is there anything like that?
No, I think we had the same jobs, like a PT monitor and I think it was the CDC monitor, like the study person.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Or not the CDC, EOC.
Yeah, I remember that person. Then you had like a beast monitor, a beast week, and all that other nonsense.
Yeah.
How was PT for you guys?
Oh yeah, that's something that's important to touch on. Is female standards differ from male standards in the Air Force.
There'll be a link in the description below if you want to compare them.
But we did the same exercises that males did. So we would run.
They were mega
push-ups,
flights.
Sit-ups, yeah.
So I think one thing is that I know this is a concern for a lot of people, especially people who do weightlift or bodybuild. There is no weights at basic training. It's all based on, it's all individual weight you'll be using. So and I don't know about you.
Body weight.
It was all based on body weight, but we did a lot more running than anything else.
Yeah.
It was way more running.
So much running.
Like we didn't really do a whole lot of weight training, not like just personal weight training, strength training. We didn't really do a lot of that. Our flight was all about just run and run. And then at the same time, when my flight was graduating, like we were like 3 days away from graduation, we were pushing through the brand new PT aerobics thing that they were doing in basic training now. So my flights were the guinea pigs. So you know what that meant? More running.
Yeah.
So it was like 4 or 5 miles a day. it was terrible.
The thing is though, at the end of the day, I feel like it's very beneficial because the majority of the points that you earn on the PT test are from the run, like 60%.
60 or 70, yeah.
Yeah, so it's important to make sure that your cardio is up and that you are, you know, fast, I guess, in order to get a good score.
The Air Force PT test is completely designed around the run, and I know I've made a video on this before, but I'll touch on it again, and this is one thing that I personally don't like, but it is what it is. If you only meet the bare minimum standards for the PT test, you still fail. So if you meet the bare minimum standards, even though by definition those should pass you, they don't. You still fail. It's not fair, it's kind of dumb, but it is what it is. You still fail. So the argument against that is, well, don't meet the bare minimum standard, and I have to agree. So naturally take that time, because you're gonna be eating clean, you're not gonna be eating any sugars, you're not gonna be eating anything out of the ordinary, you'll be eating clean there, drinking water or Gatorade all day, every day. That's your gonna be lifeblood. So take that time to really regulate your diet, because once you go back to tech school, you're free to basically do whatever you want. And a lot of people immediately devolve from what they got at basic training, fall back in old habits within a month.
Yeah,
And
a lot of people.
I fell into that.
Yeah. And also, I'm a personal trainer too, on top of being in the military. And I plan on making workout videos and videos preparing you for PT tests. So if you want to see that, head over to my YouTube channel and also follow me on Instagram, because yeah, the link will be in the description below.
There's going to be a lot of different things that she's going to be able to touch on that I can't. So as you guys know, I obviously have to do PT, but I'm not a PT trainer. I'd like to do boxing and other things, but I'm a nerd gamer. There are different things that she can answer that I simply can't. So it's different. But one of the other things that I kind of wanted to think of was, oh yes, female representation in the military, at least in the Air Force, obviously that's the realm you're in. How do you feel that works? Like, do you think it's fair, it's not as good, there's certain issues, anything you want to raise awareness on, quote unquote?
I think it's important to keep in mind that the military in general is very male dominated. So a lot of things are seen through a male perspective. However, I haven't experienced any like discrimination based off my sex or been treated differently because of my sex. However, that doesn't mean that that doesn't happen. I just feel like it's important to keep in mind that it is very male dominated.
I think it's going to be a lot of job dependent too. So in our, at least in our specific realm, we're not going to be specific to an extent, but it's because of the nature of our job, it all being mental based, that there really is no reason to discriminate based on sex, because it serves no function. It's all about how you perform mentally. Whereas other jobs, if they're more physical based, I'm not saying I can understand it, but I can see why it can be a problem. But at least with our realm, I've never really seen it be an issue. But yeah. And I think that's about it. This is going to segue into another video that we plan on doing, a full real, like just a whole broad Air Force questions and answers. This is kind of a video that I wanted to make personally to try and put it on my channel of, hey, by the way, we can't answer some of your general concerns here, or if we can't, use this video to segue into the next one of any concerns you do have. So this serves a function one way or the other. But yeah, any questions you guys have, leave them in the comments below. Reach either of our social medias directly if you have questions you want to, or any concerns, gripes, complaints, whatever. Anything like that, just message us, we'll put it in the video. And other than that, I got nothing.
I just want to make sure that you guys know that we're here to answer your questions. So it would be great if you suggested topics and we could make videos based off of those topics. So we touched a little bit on BMT and like the female perspective, but we could do tech school, you know, preparing for BMT, what to pack, stuff like that.
Yep, there's nothing wrong with that, especially because my packing for BMT video is outdated at this point. It's because they literally changed it like a week when I made that video. It's like, no, now we give you all this stuff. I'm like, what? What do you mean you give them this stuff now? But yeah, so the Air Force is very dynamic. They change drastically. So a lot of times my videos, especially my older ones, tend to be out of date. So I'm more than willing to re-update them as time goes on. I just need to be able to find the correct information, because she's been in longer than I have. So we obviously can't go through basic again to tell you, and I'm not going to do that again to myself.
No.
So we can't go back through and, you know, re-examine the situation, although funny story, they do offer TDYs to staffs to actually go to BMT to like redo, like see the training.
Really?
Yeah, they do
That's
that.
so cool.
So I've heard that like staffs, NCOs, like cause my MTLs told me this, like, you know, as a staff tech, whatever, you can go to BMT and view a training from start to finish again. So I might do that actually when I put my staff stripe on.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, questions, concerns, please let us know. We're more than willing to get specific with you guys. And one thing I want to make sure I touch on is this isn't a bad thing. It's just something you guys need to understand is that when you guys ask us very broad questions, it's hard for us to give you specific answers. We know our realm. We know our experiences. But when you guys say this specific thing, or should I enlist or commission, like that's a very hard question to answer. I can't, you know, I don't know you. I don't know your likes, your dislikes. You know, it's hard for us to really give you guys an answer to a broad question. So the more specific, the better our answers will be. So just make sure you guys know that there's nothing wrong with asking anything. Just know that if it's a broad questions, we won't be able to give you a very good answer, is all I'm really trying to say. But yeah, that's all I got. Make sure, again, follow her on her social medias. Follow me.
Links below.
Follow me on mine. I'm streaming more on Twitch recently, and I uploaded new merchandise to my store. Go grab some fresh shirts if you're feeling frisky. Other than that, I'll see you guys next time. Well, we will.
Bye.
Bye.